Nana is a manga and animated series by Ai Yazawa that went on a hiatus in 2009 due to the author's poor health. Sadly, it's still on hiatus. We don't know if it'll ever have a new chapter anytime soon. Unlike my usual videos where I like to go and do a summary and, recap most of what happens in Nana, I want to do something different and focus on the personalities of the two Nanas. Instead, I encourage you to check out these videos by these creators on recaps and other additional information that might help you on this journey. I haven't read the manga because personally, this anime is a soap opera, stuff you see in Hallmark, out of their crazy wild drama. And it's really entertaining and fun, but it does, with each episode, get sadder and a little bit more depressing towards the end. And from the spoilers that I intentionally looked up for the manga, it is really sad. Okay, it gets really depressing and sad. One of the characters even gets killed off, but what I will tell you is that the series follows two women named Nana, who eventually do end up becoming roommates, and both are around their 20s. Well, they both are around 20 years old, and both are trying to lead a new life in Tokyo, right? They are low on cash, but have a whole bucket full of dreams and hopes, trying to make it in Tokyo. We get to learn about both the Nanas, about the people that they're surrounded by, about their relationships, and how they interact with each one of these people and with each other. We get to bond with them and understand a little bit about what's going on in their noggin and why they make certain decisions, whether these are good decisions or bad decisions. So let's start with Nana 1, aka Nana Komatsu, also named Hachi by the other Nana. Nana K, or Hachi, and I'll keep calling her Hachi the whole video. Hachi is introduced to us at the beginning of the series as a boy crazy girl, right? She flirts with the first guy that she finds. She falls in love with the first guy she finds. She's a klutz, aloof, she's slightly naive. She falls in love easily, and like I said earlier, she's totally boy crazy and falls in love with the first guy she talks to when she's single. We all know someone like that. I've known a couple of friends like that, and they're hard to control. They're jumping from one relationship to another. They don't know how to slow down and pace themselves, and they can be quite impulsive, which Hachi is pretty impulsive. She's picked poor partners, not intentionally, of course. She's just a poor judge of character, and in some cases, things just don't work out. But what I really like about Nana is that even though she makes these bad decisions, or she might have dated people that weren't really good for her, she's really well aware of her decisions, and she takes time to reflect on them and tries to grow from them. At the beginning of the series, we learn that Hachi is going to Tokyo to live with her boyfriend, Shoji, who had just gotten into an art school or something like that. And so she's really excited for him, and she goes and moves in with him. But there's trouble in paradise, right? He eventually does cheat on her. He has a really weird thought process, in my opinion, when it comes to relationships and how he spends time with Hachi. And honestly, it's kind of shitty what he does, and it's even shittier how Junko, one of the characters, kind of blames Hachi for getting cheated on. I didn't really like how that whole thing played out, and I don't like that Hachi does blame herself at times for how things turned out. This breakup messes Hachi a lot, and it kind of causes her to really go down spiral. She doesn't know how to process her emotions really well, and she finds herself feeling numb and empty from the whole experience of getting betrayed, losing a friend. It hurts her, but at the moment she can't really figure out why it hurts so much and why she's so empty. And she wants any sort of distraction that she can find at this time. And so she ends up in a situation with another character known as Takumi, who's also a rock star. He's, I believe, a bassist in Trap Nest. And so, not to mention, she's a fan. So she's a fan, and she kind of ends up in a situationship with him. It's not a cool dynamic at all because, idol, fan, and she doesn't even know if she even likes him as a person. I think she just likes the attention that she's getting from Takumi, because not only is he rich and famous, he's also from her favorite band. So she really is just being fed a fantasy life that she dreamt up. She also lost her job. So she is at her lowest point. Her impulses take over her, you know? She wants any distraction to fill the void inside her. And so she spends most of her time with Takumi. Takumi is like her booty call, right? And she doesn't want to really be perceived as a slut and whatnot. And she starts kind of forcing an idea of loving him. And she, as a person, is very paranoid about what her close friends would think of her, what Nana would think of her if they all found out that she was kind of messing around with Takumi, because she didn't really want anyone to know about Takumi. She kind of just wanted it to be like a one night stand and just forget about it. It was a hookup, and she really didn't want to she didn't want to air it out. And unfortunately, Takumi is the one who airs out their business to everyone. And really, she tries to justify it all by saying, yeah, I do love Takumi. And so Nana and her friends, you know, the members of Blast, are convinced that she is in love with Takumi, when in reality, she really, at that moment, didn't really feel anything for him like that. She was just physically attracted to him. She had very little emotional attachment with him. And as a matter of fact, when Takumi would say things like, I love you, it was nothing. It was sweet nothings to her. It was more impactful when Nobu, another character in the series, had confessed his feelings for her. She cared more about his confession and felt mutually towards him something compared to Takumi, right? Her decisions, her bad decisions, and sometimes impulsive decisions can frustrate you as a viewer, but I think that's what makes her pretty human. We tend to do impulsive things to drown away the hurt, the pain, to kind of distract ourselves. You know, some people, when they're really at their lowest point, will turn to alcohol. Some people will shop, like me. I can be kind of a shopaholic when I'm at my lowest point. And some people will completely shut down, lock themselves up in their rooms. You know, everyone has a different way of handling their emotions, and Hachi just gets carried away in the moment. But then again, a lot of bad things were happening to her all at once. It was just too much for her to process. So, you know, I try and not be too harsh towards Hachi when you watch the series, just because of her. Yeah, she's boy crazy personality, but she's also a nice person, and I feel like she really cares about people around her a lot. She pours in a lot in her friendships as well. Might not seem like it at first, but as the series goes by, you get to learn more and more about Hachi, how she handles things and how she grows, you know? So I think that's fine. She doesn't have big dreams or goals. I think she wants to just be a housewife. She joins the art university, or rather she wants to do art, is mainly because of her friend Junko. Her high school best friend Junko is going to art school, so you know, Hachi tags along. That's where she meets Shoji, and because Shoji, Junko and Kyosuke are moving to Tokyo, she wants to move to Tokyo to be around her friends and be around people that she really vibes with, you know? So I like that about her a lot, that she really wants to be there for her friends, and she really deeply cares so much about it that she would move to a different city for them. As I said, she doesn't have that many big dreams of her own. She just wants to be a mother, have a family of her own. Very, you know, plain and simple life. She also craves wealth, just like most people, most broke people do. She wants the latest cell phone. She wants the trendiest outfits. She wants all the cool shoes, right? She wants to go to concerts and travel if she could, you know? She wants that nice life that most people do and most people see online. She wants all of that. She's just like most people. But at the same time, she can be quite hopeless because she doesn't really put that much energy and effort into her work. Like when she was employed, she kind of goofed off a lot thinking about ways to promote Blast instead of actually, the band that the other Nana is in, instead of actually focusing on work and putting 100% into it. And she takes up gig work after she gets fired, and she doesn't really try and really get herself into a really good financial situation. So she kind of wants the good life without really pouring in too much of her own energy. So she is kind of lazy, kind of lazy in her own financial situation, but an amazing supporting friend when it comes to Blackstones, aka Blast, right? She's always there promoting them, boosting up their morale. It's great. Though immature and ridiculously flirty, Nana, or Hachi, sorry, is ridiculously loyal to Blackstones and Nana. And I like that a lot about her. She wants Nana to achieve her dreams and make Blast the most popular band in Japan and maybe eventually the world. She cheers Nana on as much as she can, and it's really sweet and heartwarming to see that. She admires Nana despite not truly understanding Nana's life struggles. When Shoji got caught cheating on Hachi outside of the restaurant that he worked with, Sachiko, I, based off how Hachi had behaved from episodes 1 to 14, didn't really expect this, but when she flinched away from Shoji and said, "I don't want you anymore," I was shocked and surprised, but very proud at the same time because this was great. She wasn't desperate enough to beg, Shoji to stay. She loved herself enough and had enough respect for herself to recognize that Shoji was in love with someone else and that, if he does it once, he might do it twice. And to me, this was a really big deal because Hachi, when she was in high school, if you remember, if you've seen this, she had been groomed by an older man who was married, right? This old ass guy, he was married. He's not like old, but like he was in his mid-20s, I think, or maybe he was in his 30s, and he groomed Hachi and they were in a relationship. When he broke things off with her so that he could move to Tokyo with his wife and start a family or whatever, Hachi was kind of distraught by the whole thing. It kind of brought her world crumbling down. She kind of couldn't get over him. She dreamt about him and she got pretty depressed about that whole thing. And she was so desperate to be with him. And I feel like you do get to see how in that moment when Hachi flinches away from Shoji, how much she's grown from that pain the first time that she experienced it, that this second time she's not that desperate little girl anymore, and that, she knows that, hey, fuck Shoji. I personally think that she didn't get enough time to reflect on her relationship with that older guy and learn a lot from it. I also feel like she didn't get enough time before Shoji was pushed onto her, because Junko and Kyosuke, once they found out that Shoji kind of had a thing for Hachi, they were kind of pushing him onto her, and he was also saying some weird shit like he didn't feel like guys and girls could be friends and some other bull crap. Ugh. I don't know, Shoji was a red flag from the beginning, but anyway, Hachi, didn't get over the bullcrap that she was going through before she started dating Shoji, and she didn't really get to, learn and grow from her previous experience. When Shoji and her broke up, I feel like she went through the same thing all over again, where she didn't get enough time to fully reflect on the relationship and fully heal from it before she got involved with Takumi and then Nobu after that, right? I think what I really liked about this anime and this character in particular is that towards the end of the animated series, you see that Hachi is finally, after she talks to Shoji, finally, after so many episodes, she wasn't getting direct answers for what exactly went wrong with Shoji and her, but she was getting a chance to learn and adapt. She was finally realizing why she was feeling empty and numb, and why she was going through that when they broke up is because she didn't just lose a boyfriend when it came to Shoji. She was friends with Shoji before they started dating. So she lost a friend too, and that hurt her the most. And she was finally, I guess, realizing what all that hurt was, right? So it's great character development from her. She goes throughout the whole show, slowly making tough decisions for herself and eventually for her baby. Hachi, at the beginning of the series, expresses how she's never been friends with a guy, so she struggles to understand the friendship that Nobu and Nana have and Yasu and Nana have. She just thinks that, Nana is romantically involved with these people, has a crush, but I think Hachi being around Nana teaches her, and being around Blast teaches her that yes, you can be friends with dudes and not think of every single guy that you come across in a romantic light. And you know, it's kind of sweet because she forges friendship with Yasu, of course. She becomes really close with Sheen. And actually, on the topic of Sheen, I think personally, even though the rest of them are against Sheen being a male prostitute, I feel as if Hachi really was the one that constantly verbally expresses him not partaking in that and shows a lot more concern than the others. And I felt like I really liked that about her because she was in a way a healthy mother figure that she never had. Hachi is a silly girl who falls in love with guys very easily, flirts with everyone that she can find. She's pretty naive, but she slowly throughout the series learns to cherish friendships, and she learns to cherish that one particular bestie more than anyone else, Nana. When Hachi ends up picking between Takumi and Nobu after she gets pregnant, I found it kind of noble and heartbreaking for her to pick what she deemed best for the baby. She personally wanted to keep the baby and didn't want to ruin Blast's chance of fame since Nobu was the guitarist. And she loved Nobu and she didn't want to take away Nobu's chance at achieving his dreams, giving all that up for a baby that might not even be his, you know? So I found that very noble that she did that. But at the same time, it hurt to see her not really communicate and explain herself to him, you know? It really hurt because even though Nobu isn't perfect, he just needed Hachi to reach out to him, to lie to him, to say anything to him, to make him stay, because he would stay with her. And she just shuts down and turns away and doesn't let him in and kind of forces him in a way to back off. And he does. He thinks that Hachi wants a life with Takumi and that she wants to be with Takumi and that maybe she loves Takumi more than Nobu. So, you know, he never really truly learns, in the anime at least. I don't know in the manga if that's been cleared up, but he never really truly learns the truth and what Hachi is thinking because she never explains it to him. She's the type of person who talks down on herself and she worries a little too much about what others perceive of her. Like others, I mean, people close to her. She doesn't want them to look down on her and lose respect for her and not want to be friends with her, especially because she cares so much about Blast and Nana, right? And it hurts a lot when you get to that part of the anime because it's just frustrating. Everything about that part is so frustrating. The most frustrating part is, well, when Hachi discovers that she's pregnant, I really didn't like the fact that Takumi took her cell phone, locked himself in her bedroom, and instead of letting Hachi on her own explain to everybody what's going on with her, he takes that choice of airing out her business at her own pace and just calls Nobu and lets Nana and him know that Hachi's pregnant, which he wasn't ready to share. That situation really isolates Hachi, and really it is the lowest point for her because she is entirely alone. Nobu is there, but she doesn't want to let him in, and Nana has a panic attack and runs off to Yasu, so she doesn't even get to see her not till a lot later, and Takumi is just manipulating her at that point, right? Under his thumb. No one is perfect, so give Hachi's character a chance, try and understand her personality, and try and understand how her personality morphs throughout the series, and she does grow as time goes. Not entirely, she's not entirely mature, she's still 20 and making silly decisions, but still, I feel like she's doing her best, you know? A lot of shit is just being thrown at her. Or you can absolutely hate her, that's fine too, you know? Whatever. Nana-O is a huge Sex Pistol fan, mainly because of Nobu, who shared his albums with her right when they were in high school, I believe. But she's also in a very complicated, I say complicated because things get complicated towards the end of the anime, relationship with Ren. Nana's mother abandoned her when she was a child for another man and just said bye-bye. Just dropped her off and left. Just pieced out. It crazy, you know. So she is very paranoid and strict with herself when it comes to the topic of having children. She takes birth control all the time and hates the idea of somebody bringing a child into this world and neglecting them the way she had been neglected. So she's very firm on the don't have kids if you can't afford them, or if you can't love them or take care of them, right? She's very angry when it comes to that topic because of what happened to her, and she doesn't want any other kid to go through what she's gone through, right? Because look at how Sheen and her turned out, right? Her rough childhood is the reason why Nana struggles to open up to other people. She struggles to communicate things or be affectionate. She struggles to voice her true opinions on things. You know, she can be quite possessive as a result when she forges friendships with people or any sort of bond with people. And I personally think that she can be quite possessive when she makes friends with women in particular, because mommy issues, right? That's just me. I think that, you know, that's not a fact. That's just a me thing. I think the first episode is a great example of this. When the two nanas meet on the train, they're stuck, right, because of a snowstorm. And during that waiting period before they are able to be on their way to Tokyo again, Hachi talks about herself nonstop, about why she's going to Tokyo, her boyfriend Shoji, her friends, yada yada yada. She overshares, right? She's an oversharer, just yapping away. Nana, on the other hand, just quietly listens. She doesn't share a single thing about her. They don't even exchange contact information, and Hachi's here calling her her friend. She's a very private person and doesn't let people in easily. She does not blab about herself. As I've said, Nana struggles to show affection to a lot of people, and I think she struggles to show a lot of her affection to Hachi, especially because she wants to keep being seen as cool by Hachi, because Hachi sees Nana as a really cool idol type of person. Nana ends up having panic attacks after news of Takumi and Hachi getting married makes her way, plus the added stress from her band being in the spotlight in media, mainly in a negative light, makes these attacks frequent. Nana, by the way, I don't think I mentioned, is the singer of Blackstones, but if you've watched it, you already know, right? She wants to make it big on her own. She wants to get to the top without Ren's help, but obviously once her band is out in the media and her relationship with Ren is exposed, she kind of tries to just make it to the top then with his with his name, because there's no way around it. She's stubborn, hard-headed, angry, but you can tell that deep down behind all these walls that she's put up, she's kind of a softie. That's the kind of vibe she gives me. You know, she just screams scared, lonely, and afraid to be vulnerable. Her mom's betrayal really hit her deep in there, and it's a lot of unresolved trauma. Unlike Hachi, who I feel like can look at her past relationships and learn from them, she spends quite a while reflecting on them, thinking back on like what happened, what ifs, but ifs, and then kind of playing the scenarios over and over in her head and trying to figuring out how she can avoid that in the future. I don't think that Nana gives off that vibe. I don't think Nana quite often reflects on her relationships and tries to learn and adapt. I mean, this is all just based off the anime. Maybe there's more growth from Nana in the manga. There probably is. But yeah, she just shuts down, I feel like, and has a hard time processing a lot of these emotions. Her, especially when it comes to Hachi, you get to see that a lot more, how she has a hard time processing everything with Hachi's pregnancy, her and Takumi getting married. She's also angry that Nobu and Hachi aren't happening because she was happy seeing them together. And, you know, Nobu is close friends with Nana, so it's just hurting her a lot. She just doesn't know how to process all this in a healthy way. She's super close to Nobu, like I said, her only high school friend, I think. He got her into Sex Pistols and eventually into singing. When Hachi breaks up with Nobu to start a family with Takumi, because Takumi offered that really good deal that, you know, Hachi couldn't deny, to be taken care of, and because she didn't want to bring Nobu down, Nana is torn on who to immediately support. I mean, she freaks out and runs off to Yasu. But eventually, around episode 35, she kind of hugs Nobu and cries for him. She tries to support him and be there for him and the pain he's going through. It's not simple. It's not like she doesn't want to run to Hachi and be there for her. She just froze and she's confused. She doesn't know who to say what, and she doesn't like it. She wishes things could go back to the way they were. Nana's relationship in the series is quite sweet, I feel like, at the beginning, because they're like so in love with each other that even though they were separated for 2 years, they still thought of each other, and they got back with each other. But I think their relationship is also flawed because we start seeing towards the end of the series that the chemistry is dying out, and what they had before, they don't have it anymore, but they're lying to themselves. Yes, at the end of the series, it seems like they're getting married because, Ren asked Nana to get married to him, but there seems to be a rift. Also, we find out towards the end of the series that Ren might be getting himself involved in some hard drugs, and his bandmates are hoping that him getting married will somehow get him off the drugs. Nana also finds herself interested in Yasu. What I do know about Ren and Nana is that things get really depressing in the manga. I mainly related to Nana O because I found her panic attacks, her anxiety taking over, all of her more or less mental health issues. I found it more relatable. I was like, yeah, I freak out too, man. I freak out too. You will learn to navigate it, Nana. I personally feel like, and most of us noticed, and even Nana says this, and that is, Hachi becomes pretty dependent on Nana. She, I feel like, forges a bond between the two much quicker. She buys the two of them the strawberry patterned glassware, and this purchase is so precious to her. It completely shakes her world, and even shakes Nana's world when the glasses are destroyed by Nana, who kind of blacks out when Hachi is moving out to live with Takumi. She blacks out. I don't know if it's anger or a whole swirl of emotions taking over her, but she smashes both the glasses. Hachi finds them and cleans it up, but she probably thought when she saw the smashed glasses that their friendship was over, or that Nana's so mad about Nobu and her breaking up and Hachi having this baby that she's lost her friend. But that's not quite true, right? Nana doesn't even remember that happening. The two just suck at communicating. They have cell phones and they text each other here and there, but Nana is insistent on not keeping a cell phone most of the time, and in the most crucial moments as well. Nana, why are you like this? The two of them have many moments where they can't get their true feelings across to each other, either because of pride or embarrassment, right? So it's really fun to see how their personalities melt together. Hard-headed, naive, that kind of like Hachi being treated like a dog. They chicken out at times, but I feel like that's the real part of it. Sometimes it's just so hard to tell or talk about something to someone that you love, friends, family members. You just choke up, that feeling, in your throat. You just choke up, you freak out, you start second guessing. You're like, oh no, it's okay, never mind. And you try and walk away from something that you really need help with, or you want to talk about, but you can't. She doesn't want to be annoying, and she doesn't want Nana to hate her and stuff. The overthinking with Hachi is real, but the same thing can go for Nana, right? Nana struggles, I feel like, to fight for Hachi and their friendship. She just doesn't know how to, and she'll run to Yasu usually for help and guidance, right? Personally, I think that on the night that Nana found out about Hachi's pregnancy, she should have just ran. I mean, she ran, but she ran to Yasu, but she should have ran to Hachi and really should have taken her away from Takumi and should have just been there to support her, right? And I also feel like Nobu should have just stayed there longer, just sat there, even though, Hachi was shutting down on him. He should have just thugged it out as well. I don't know. I feel like they should have just been there for her a lot more, because she was at a really, really low point in her life, and I did not like how Takumi was controlling that whole thing. I hated it. I know he's not entirely bad. I know he does kind of step up and he does try and take care of Hachi and the baby, but there are ways he just goes about things. I just don't like the way he does things, okay? The sweetest thing in this series about both the Nanas is that nothing could stand in their way. Eventually, they would, resolve some sort of miscommunication. Eventually, somehow, they would find a way to meet each other, to see each other. Kind of like when The paparazzi camped out outside of Nana's apartment. Nana had been found out to be Ren's girlfriend. Nana took that opportunity and grabbed the mic from the news reporter and tried to reach out to Hachi, given the opportunity, without, making it obvious who she was talking about. Yes, their problems weren't solved, but I feel like this scene established between the two ladies that their friendship isn't over. Friendships are complicated, but when you truly cherish them, no matter what the challenges are presented in front of you, I feel like you try and overcome them. I like to do some special mentions. I'd like to give a special shout out to Yasu. Thank you for keeping the team together, for babysitting everybody, for getting everybody out of trouble most of the time when you try, and get some therapy, my guy. The other one is Sheen. Get some therapy, my kid. You have been groomed by a lady that looks like Reira, and from my understanding, you've been a male prostitute ever since you were really, really young, and I hope that you are happier in the future. Yeah, that's my little spiel. And I know I didn't get too nitty gritty with it, but I wanted to keep it short and simple for this since I keep yapping in most of my videos and they're too long. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.